What a weird time we're living through right now. My wife and I celebrated our 20-year anniversary 3 days ago in quarantine. It was just the oddest thing. I never saw that coming. 20 years, and here we are sitting inside the house. So random. But it's March 21st, and I'd like to give a market update today. My name's Ryan Lundquist with SacramentoAppraisalBlog.com. I have some fresh graphs to share for the Sacramento region. I have some thoughts about the market, and I want to sort of, piece together some things to keep our eyes on right now. Things are changing quickly, and the reason why I'm labeling it March 21st is because the market, it seems like we have something new to share almost every single day. So let's dive in, and I'm going to close with some tips. I hope this is helpful. This will probably be somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. All right. So one of the things we're seeing very clearly is canceled listings rising. This isn't a surprise. Now, look, there were a little bit less than 50 canceled listings yesterday. So this isn't the entire market that's canceling because there's 2,800 to 2,900 listings right now. But we've certainly seen a contingent or a portion of sellers who are backing off and saying, I'm uncertain. I want to cancel and I want to wait this out and see what's in store. Similar dynamic with properties with a hold status. You can see over the past week, I mean, holds were hardly an issue all year, but over the past week, holds have risen dramatically. And a hold status in RMLS basically says the property is no longer being actively marketed, but it's not canceled or withdrawn either. And so it's just in this place of hold. Okay. I expect that we'll see both canceled listings and hold listings continue to increase. All right. Now, it's not just sellers, though. Here's an example of a buyer. Here's a realtor on Elk Grove at Elk Grove Gal who said our first coronavirus real estate casualty. The buyer backed out due to concerns with the market. Let's hold on tight for the ride. And so some sellers are clearly more hesitant, so they're withdrawing their listings, but you also have some buyers who are in a place where they're saying, I'm uncertain and I need to withdraw. I'm going to, no longer look for a home or I want to get out of contract. Sometimes it's buyers though who are having changes in employment, and so it's not by choice. Okay. In contrast, last night on Twitter, I was talking with someone who's looking for a home, and they're looking in Fair Oaks and Folsom. And despite everything that's going on, he and his husband are actively looking, and they're ready to get into contract despite all of this. And so it just goes to show that not every single seller or buyer is thinking the same thing. And so we do have to be careful about generalizing and saying, here's what the market as a whole is doing. Okay, but let's look at pending sales since January 1st in the region. We can see this past week, pending sales have very clearly been down. So there has been a very obvious downtrend of pendings. Now, on one hand, positively, there are deals that are still happening. Properties are getting into contract. Okay, here was sort of our coronavirus moment where the market really began to change, and we could see that we had a normal seasonal rhythm where there's more pendings and then less. Every single week it looks like that. Okay, but here's the thing, it looks like about a 15% difference this week compared to the prior week. And so this is something to watch over time. And in fact, I would expect that we will have less pendings as we have the shelter in place in California over the next couple of weeks. It just makes sense that we won't be seeing a lot of real estate activity. I could be wrong, and I'll have the stats to, I guess, prove it in the next few weeks. And so we'll see what the market does. One interesting thing is that Open Door and Zillow, they began pausing their home buying activity. This is an article from Housing Wire. And I don't think this is a surprise to anyone because I think when tech companies started to really get into real estate, I think a lot of people were looking and going, wow, they have razor thin margins. This is a model that might be able to work maybe in an upward market. But as soon as there's uncertainty in a market, or if the market began to turn and decline in value, then these types of models would really struggle potentially. So here we're seeing that. Here's new listings in the Sacramento region. This past week we've seen maybe slightly less, but not dramatically less, and the week isn't even done. And so we have another day here to see what happens. But so properties are still coming to the market. Now, will they come over the next couple of weeks with shelter in place? I think we're going to have to see maybe what happens. All right. The unemployment rate is currently 3.2% in Sacramento County. We were almost at 13% around 2011. And so we've seen dramatic improvement in the market. But I wanted to show this because it's important when we're looking at stats that there's a difference sometimes between stats and trends. Okay, my sense is that there's going to be a lot more people applying for unemployment in Sacramento County. And so there's this trend that's happening right now. You just don't see it in the stats yet. And so we have to be careful when we look at stats, especially sales. Okay, and sales may not reflect the trend yet it's beginning to happen in the market. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Here's a CEO of the Sacramento Association of Realtors. He said that under the governor's order now binding statewide, we should not be showing houses or holding open houses. Dave Tanner said this a couple days ago, and I say props to him because he actually spoke before CAR issued their guidance. Now, the California Association of Realtors just yesterday said that the real estate industry is not exempt from the prohibition except as needed to maintain continuity of operation, of construction, okay, blah, blah, blah. But basically, there is an order from CAR to say that realtors should stop doing all face-to-face marketing or sales activities. And so, a couple things. Number one, we're going to see a market on the sidelines over the next couple of weeks. It just makes sense. Okay, there's limited marketing going on. Granted, I think there's going to be a ton of video activity. It's going to almost feel like when YouTube first came out and realtors were showing houses on YouTube and walking through. We're going to see a ton of that stuff. And I think that will be necessary. And there's going to be a lot of ways that people can adapt when shopping for homes. Okay. But there's there's supposed to be that lack of face to face. We'll see if that actually happens or not. But this is something that there's going to be limited activity. It has to show up in the stats at some point. Okay, here's a case in point. Here's a realtor on Twitter I follow, Marianne at SF House Hunter, and here's her MLS stats as of March 17th. That was the day one of the shelter in place in San Francisco. And there were 12 new listings, 25 pendings, 45 cancels, 105 on hold. Okay, and I want to show this for a couple reasons. Number one, there are still new listings hitting the market. I expect that we'll see that same trend. There are simply going to be sellers who have to sell, who have worked hard to get their properties on the market, and they're going to put them on. And some sellers might even think, maybe if less people are putting their homes on the market, I'm going to have more attention. Because I guarantee for the buyers who are interested in the market, they're still going to be scouring listings. They're going to be looking at everything, whether they see them in person or not. I mean, they're going to have to figure out whether they can. They'll certainly be watching videos. Okay. But there's 25 pendings. Now, this is down from previous weeks from what Marianne was telling me. I don't have that data in front of me, but it just shows that there are contracts happening in San Francisco. I expect that we might see something similar in Sacramento. Okay, I don't expect that we're going to see dramatic pendings if people truly are not able to host open houses or to take buyers to properties to gain access. Okay, but this is interesting, and I think maybe it's a clue into maybe what our market looked like. More canceled and more properties on hold. That's what I was talking about before. I expect that we'll see those numbers increase because it's sort of like the hold is a pause button. And I believe MLS is putting a pause on the days on market too. And so I think a lot of listings will go that way. We'll see though, right? But here's some closing thoughts. Number one, this is always going to be my number one, by the way. Be patient because we need time. We're going to need weeks and months to figure out this market. Okay, there's a profound level of uncertainty. I would say, in the words of Jonathan Miller, that this is peak uncertainty, but we just need to sort of chill out and ride the wave that's here and figure out this market over time. We won't know everything right now. There's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of sensational stuff too, but we might be surprised how things go too. Number two, I'd say watch a variety of metrics. Okay, I've upped my game. I hope this is helpful, but I spent hours this week learning to make new visuals for you. I hope that they're useful, but I would say don't just watch one thing, especially don't just watch what prices are doing. This week, a lot of people asked me, Ryan, when are prices going to go down, or when are we going to see a change in the market in prices? And each time someone asked that, I said, wait, hold on, time out. Prices are the wrong thing to look at. Okay, the right thing to look at right now, we want to look at canceled, we want to look at properties that are getting in a contract, the pendings, and we want to look at what's happening in the listings. And eventually, the trend that's happening in those three things will show up in the prices down the road. It might take a few months, okay? And then we'll see what prices do, whether they're going up or sideways or down. But I would say don't focus on prices now. Give more attention to the listings. Give more attention to stuff like days on market, original, list price to sales price ratio, all that stuff. I'd expect limited activity these next couple of weeks. Okay, this is legal stuff, coming from the governor. Even in New York, you see the Governor Cuomo said, real estate agents should not be. Basically, he said everything that CAR said to our agents. Okay, you shouldn't be out there with people. We could see some pent-up demand after April 7th, though. This is when the shutdown theoretically ends. Now, will it be extended? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in these next few weeks, but I can expect that there's going to be a lot of listings that get reactivated on April 8th, theoretically, maybe even April 7th, and a lot of pent-up demand from buyers. We'll see what mortgage rates do. If mortgage rates happen to go down again, then I think that would be fuel for buyers to sort of re-engage with the market. Stories today become tomorrow's stats. Let's just keep that in mind and always remember what we're hearing today and seeing today. That'll show up in a few months down the road in the sales stats. I would say there's two more things. Be careful about predicting. All right, a lot of people are making market predictions, and this is, there's so much uncertainty right now in the market, and we don't know what's going to happen. Okay, we never know in real estate, no matter what the market's doing. But I think that feels very inflamed right now because uncertainty feels heightened. And so I just say be cautious, take off your prophet hat and realize that you probably don't have a crystal ball that actually works. Okay, mine has duct tape on it, and I'm humble about that. So you're not going to see me, predicting into the future. Here's exactly what prices are going to do. And last but not least, this will always be my closing point. Be safe out there and cultivate peace. Okay, if you need to step away from social media, go for it. I know for me, I've struggled this week. I've spent way too much time online, and honestly, I'm not really reading all the coronavirus stuff, but I'm just incessantly scrolling, like a ton of time on Twitter, a ton of time on Facebook. I'm having a really hard time putting down my phone, and I know that I'm not alone in that. And so I would just say to me and to everyone, let's be careful of that. I'm kind of aware, like as a dad, I'm like, man, what advice would I give to my kids in this situation? I think I need to follow that advice. But anyway, blessings to you, peace to you. Hope this was helpful. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. But let's keep the conversation going. Stay tuned. More coming soon.